I get up about 5 o'clock in the morning and getting on an airplane to head out to teach in Salem, Oregon. And my wife says, honey, I believe you're going to have a divine appointment. Be sensitive to the Lord on this trip. I said, okay. And I'm in Salt Lake City and I get on my connecting flight and there's a man sitting in my seat. And he says, I'm sitting in your seat. I said, yeah, that's okay. I'll slide in and sit by the window. He said, I always fly first class, but they didn't have any extra seats, so I just had to fly. And I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. I'm first class, yeah. So he sits down next to me, and I thought, well, this could be a pretty grumpy ride for 2.5 hours, so I think maybe I could just warm it up a little bit, Or I could have been afraid, or I could have put earplugs in. Or I could open my Bible and read it in front of him. I just turned to him and said, hey, what do you do for a living? He said, I'm a toy inventor. I said, well, if you're a toy inventor, you're looking at someone that probably had to buy your toys because I've got 7 kids. And he told me about this air bazooka thing. And I said, yeah, I bought 2 or 3 of these things. He said, really? He said, yeah. And so that's about all he said. And I just was sitting there for a few minutes and thinking, okay, well, not too tense. Then I said, can I ask you a question? He said, yeah. I said, how many times did you fail before you got that first successful patent? He looked at me and he said, I had to move back in with my mother at 42. I said, you did? Then I said one more question. I said, what got you past your last disappointment? He said, you've got to forget the past and press on. And I flipped open my notebook that I was going to prepare to study for my teaching. That was my title. Wow. Forget the past, press on, press into God, highlighted in yellow. He looked at that and he said, you're a YWAMer, aren't you? I said, yeah. I said, I'm going out to teach at YWAM Salem. He said, that's where I did my DTS. The introductory school for YWAM. I said, when? Because I knew he was about my age, maybe a little. He said, in 1981. I said, 81. I said, did your outreach team go to Guatemala? He said, yeah. I said, did you stand in the rain for 2 hours in Tapachula, Mexico? Yeah. I said, I was there too. Guess what started rolling for the next 2.5 hours? He sold one little invention to Disney World. A little rocket ship about that tall that you push a little button and these little fiber optic cords come out and kind of cool little twirly thing. He said, I make 17 cents per sale because he licensed his products. And he said that one is made over $1.7 million. So he's telling me about his successes and some of the things he's doing. And then I said, but Brian, I know you're training. What are you doing for the kingdom? He kind of dropped his head and he said, Andy, not a whole lot. I said, do you care? He said, oh yeah, I care. I said, what would it take for you, Brian? I mean, I knew that he was a millionaire. I said, what would it take for you to give, to invest the kingdom since God is blessing you? Pretty bold, huh? You know what he said to me? He said it would take a proposal on my desk in the month of November before I do my taxes or before I give my gifts away. I said, Brian, you will get a proposal and you will get a FedEx returned envelope on your desk this November. This was about September, October. He said, I'll be looking for it. We've chitty-chatted and he pulled his business card out and he said, hey, here's my personal cell phone and my personal email address. Now, the question would be, you get off the plane, you depart, goodbye, then what do? Are you willing to do 40 hours of work on a maybe that he would have forgotten who you were I decided to do the 40 hours of work and find out. Got home, sent him out an email. Great to visit with you. Isn't it awesome how God reconnects His kids? You know what? The Lord knew I was available. The Lord knew someone needed to encourage him. The Lord knew someone needed to pour some water on those seeds. He answered my email. I sent him another. I was praying over it and discipling him. Susie and I was praying for him. Then I wrote him the proposal. Put in 40 hours of work. Gave him 3 options. Pictures in it, facts, laid out well, nice fonts, about 6 or 8 pages, and then a nice cover letter on a stationery. P.S. You'll get a tax deduction for this. About the time I FedEx that out, he emailed me and said, "Where is that proposal? November's almost over." December 22nd, guess what arrived in the mail at my house? A FedEx envelope. All it had in it was a check for $5,772 and said, little post-it note, "God bless your daughter. I don't want her to go through what I had to go through when I went through DTS and had no money." What about that divine appointment? Are you praying for divine appointments?